This is the greatest threat to national security that Americans are facing on the southern border.
We don't know who's in our nation, Shannon, and we have many, many people here on the terrorist watch list. We don't know what they're going to do, yet the risk is going up exponentially. Christopher Wray, our FBI chief, said that the number of alerts from national security standpoint have gone up like a Christmas tree.
All Americans should be concerned, and I don't mean to be a downer 2 days before Christmas, but...
And it should be concerning to every American because we have no idea who's coming in.
Border Patrol encounters 17 people on the terror watch list at the southern border in November. This just coming out in the past 24 hours, as they're saying that terrorists are pouring across the southern border into the U.S. to try to wreak havoc on the United States. This coming after we had just received this warning from the FBI of increased terrorist threats. And you would think that we would try to protect our border even more, but they're saying they are pouring in unlike anything that we have ever seen. Now, where are they targeting? Well, take a look at this coming out in the past 48 hours. Times Square is an attractive target on New Year's Eve, but there's no specific threat that is known, but they believe that this could be coming to cities around the nation. I've shared with you the details coming out. However, they're saying specifically New York should be on the watch, as there are threats domestically and on the other side of the world surrounding the conflict taking place in the Middle East. And take a look at this. Biden is making us look weak on the world stage. Do you agree with that? Is President Joe Biden's policies weak and emboldening other nations? We're hearing that it is, and specifically Iran. Take a look at this. U.S. says Iran deeply involved in the Red Sea attacks on commercial vessels. This just happening in the past 48 hours, this holiday weekend. Attacks taking place, and the United States saying it is Iran that is funding this, but Iran rejects U.S. claims that it is deeply involved in Houthi attacks on the Red Sea, and this is causing tensions to rise. And many people are saying that we could be on the verge of another world war. Now, I'm going to share with you the latest video footage and articles coming out in the past 48 hours so you know exactly what's going on as we enter into the holiday seasons. I hope that you and the family are having a blessed Christmas Eve, but I want to make sure that we know exactly what's taking place so we can be prepared for ourselves and our families. And if you appreciate that, do me a quick favor before we dive in. Smash that like button. Just takes a second. Hit subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And if you want to stay connected, even off of social media platforms, in case communications are hit by cyber attacks, be sure to join me at www.steveramnews.com. All you got to do is add your name and your email, totally free, and I'll keep you up to date. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive right in and get you caught up on the latest. Now, we're going to take a look at the video footage here in just a second, but first, take a look at this article that came out in the past 48 hours. There were 17 encounters of people between ports of entry at the southern border on the FBI's terror watch list in November, according to data released Friday, 2 days ago, by the Customs and Border Protection. It brings the total of people encountered at the border between ports of entry on the watch list to 30 for the fiscal year 2024, which began in October. The watch list, now officially called the Terrorist Screening Data Set, is the U.S. database that contains information on terrorist identities and includes not only known or suspected terrorists, but also affiliates of the watch list's individuals. And a lot of the concern is what's happening in the Middle East, that they are sending people over here to conduct attacks here on U.S. soil, and we're hearing that things are escalating. Let's take a look in the last 24 hours. Iran rejects U.S. claims that it is deeply involved in Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. Tehran has denied the claims by the United States that it is deeply involved in attacks by Houthi rebels on commercial ships in the Red Sea, amid reports of another Israeli-affiliated merchant vessel being struck. Iran's deputy foreign minister on yesterday, dismissed these accusations, saying the Houthis were attacking on their own. Now, Tehran's support for the Yemeni rebel group includes both weapons and tactical intelligence, the White House said on Friday, as it presented newly declassified intelligence purporting to show Iranian involvement in the attacks. The resistance, Houthi, has its own tools and act in accordance with its own decisions and capabilities, Iran's deputy foreign minister Ali Bagheri told Mer News Agency. The fact that certain powers, such as the Americans and the Israelis, suffer strikes from the resistance movement should in no way call into question the reality of the strength of the resistance in the region, he added. Tehran said that it supports the Houthis politically, but denies sending the group's weapons. The Iranian statement came after the White House national security spokesperson Adrian Watson on Friday called the situation in the Red Sea an international challenge that demands collective action. We know that Iran was deeply involved in the planning of the operations against commercial vessels in the Red Sea, he said in a statement. This is consistent with the Iran's long-term material support and encouragement of the Houthis de-establishing actions in the region. So there you have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But now let's take a look at the video footage reporting coming out on this as well.
But I want to start with some overnight news from CENTCOM about more attacks in the Red Sea. They say in Saturday they took down 4 incoming drones to a U.S. destroyer. That destroyer was then asked to come to the aid of 2 different commercial vessels that said they came under attack or attempted attack. Iran seems to be behind much of this. The Wall Street Journal reporting this. The direct involvement by Iranian actors in the attacks raises the stakes for Israel and the U.S., which are eager to contain Tehran's role in the region and risks creating a new front in the conflict between Israel and its foes in the region, just as the U.S. is trying to stop it from escalating. Do you think the Biden administration is taking the appropriate response, action with regard to Iran's involvement in all of these things?
They're not taking a consistent response, so of course it's not appropriate. That's why Iran feels emboldened. What we've seen is put 2 aircraft carrier strike groups into the region. That's a massive show of military force. But we've been highly inconsistent in terms of the way we deal with Iran from an economic standpoint and from a diplomatic standpoint. From an economic standpoint, Shannon, you remember under President Trump, we put in place the maximum pressure campaign. I worked on that in his administration. We brought down Iran's foreign currency reserves to below $8 billion. As soon as Joe Biden came into office, they stopped enforcing the sanctions. Billions of dollars began to flow. According to our estimates, they've enriched themselves by over $100 billion in terms of illicit oil sales, and it continues just because the Biden administration wants to appease the Iranian regime. From a diplomatic standpoint, we've been sending mixed messages to Israel. We talk about ceasefires. We talk about sending humanitarian aid into Gaza. We talk about putting conditions on aid. These mixed messages and the fact that we've allowed Iran to enrich itself and repopulate Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis with the weapons that they need have created this situation. We need to come back and snap back economic sanctions immediately on Iran. We need to send a clear diplomatic message. That's what we need to see to get the situation to calm down. We have to maintain freedom of navigation operations in the seas. We cannot cede that to Iran.
It's just one of the many foreign policy headaches for this administration, serious issues that they have got to find solutions to. The border, of course, that we've talked about. Want to just recap where we are, because late Friday, going into a holiday weekend, we got new numbers on what's happening there. Nearly 243,000 encounters with people at the southern border illegally. Highest number on November on record. It's the 3rd highest month in this current crisis. We've got days where more than 12,000 people are showing up a day at the southern border. A woman this week reportedly crossed in illegally from Colombia, was given a 2031 date to check in with ICE. One Border Patrol agent told us the people in charge have turned an entire agency of courageous individuals into department store greeters. This is one of the looming issues you guys have got to hammer out in January. Can you tell those Border Patrol agents or the American people more broadly there are substantive changes coming?
Shannon, you used the word crisis. It couldn't be more appropriate. And we have been sending that message. In fact, every single Republican unanimously blocked movement on this Ukraine package until we deal with the southern border. I think Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden need to get the message that Republicans are serious about this. We are unanimous that this has to be dealt with. And if you look at what's happened just since October the 7th, the Hamas invasion took place in Israel. Christopher Wray, our FBI chief, said that the number of alerts from a national security standpoint have gone up like a Christmas tree since that happened. They've encountered over 150 nationalities crossing our border illegally just since October. We don't know who's in our nation, Shannon, but we do know this. It's destabilizing our country. Cities are overwhelmed, and we have many, many people here on the terrorist watch list. We don't know what they're going to do, yet the risk is going up exponentially. We have to deal with it now. We have sent that message loud and clear. Negotiations took place leading up to Christmas. They've fallen apart. The Biden administration has to understand that we are serious as Republicans. We're going to stand up against this. We have to make certain that we do in the 11 days that we've got when we get back into session.
You mentioned they've fallen apart. Do you feel that it's come to a stop? Are we moving backwards? Is there forward progress? Where are we in your assessment?
It's hard to say because we've got to see it all come together at once. We get piecemeal language that might work, that might be one step forward, but if they loosen something else, Shannon, if that makes sense, we've got to look at it in its entirety because the Biden administration has been clear. They want to destabilize the border. They're encouraging as many people to flood into this nation as they possibly can, essentially to backfill the blue states where populations are leaving and to help them in the calculation of congressional seats going forward and electoral votes. But that needs to stop. The danger that they're willing to put our nation through is unconscionable, and the Biden administration is willing to look the other way while they transform America. It has to stop. And it's clear. We already have the tools. President Trump proved this. He had the border taken down to a practical shutdown. The Remain in Mexico policy that's still on the books could be imposed tomorrow. Title 42, they tossed that. Everything that's happening right now is an acceleration of people into our nation. The supplemental language that the Biden administration sent over earlier for this package that includes Ukraine, Israel, when they say border, what they've asked for is more money to more rapidly process people into our country and for the ability to transform ICE, the only law enforcement agency we have that can deport people, to transform that agency into a resettlement agency.
So there you have it. Please be vigilant. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, as we're hearing that there could be attacks coming to the United States, especially those in New York. Please use caution. Now, in addition to that, we recently heard from former President Donald Trump, who is also saying that the Biden policies are weak, is saying that World War III is imminent, and we need somebody stronger in the White House like him that can stop this from unfolding. Let me know your thoughts, but to see the latest and to see what he actually had to say, check out this video right here next, as I covered it in detail for you. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. As more information comes out, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. Hope that you and the family have a blessed Christmas, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.